And whenever you're ready to come back, we're just down the road.
See you soon.
See you soon. See you soon.
See you soon.
Texas Hill Country Wineries.
More and more, we're seeing people that are coming here specifically for wine, which is pretty exciting for our region, for our industry.
Every region in Texas does something different. Other wine regions have had 1,000 years to figure out what grows well there. We're trying to do it in a generation or two.
The style of wines that we're able to make here, kind of perfect for Texas.
We have soils here that people in other parts of the world would die for.
It's always been an area where you can grow all kinds of different crops.
All of these wineries have a really good mix of whites, rosés, reds.
We have found great success with Italian varieties.
Sangiovese, some Montepulciano Italian varietals.
Viognier, Tempranillo, Mourvèdre, Grenache, Aglianico, Negro Amaro. Things that like a lot of sun.
And you get a lot of what I think of as soul in the wine.
When people use proper winemaking techniques, there's literally no limit to what we can do here.
People just do a lot of driving here.
We've got the beautiful streams, the lakes, the rivers, the mountains, the hills, and the vistas.
People don't have to worry about having a good time in this part of the hill country.
When you're visiting, you're away from the city.
The summer is a great time to come out and visit wineries. We are making wine this time of year, which is always exciting and fun to see.
For the wine tourists and the agri-tourists, we have outstanding places to visit and for people to enjoy.
As the weather cools down, it's wonderful to spend a whole afternoon out and watch a sunset. And it's a place to find respite.
We have beautiful weather almost year round.
We've got lots of great hiking paths. We're also home to a bunch of national and state parks, lots of beautiful wildflowers that are native to the area.
If you're coming out to the hill country to have a great wine experience, definitely plan your trip. Really map it out and try something new that you haven't done in the area.
This truly is arm in arm winemaking. It's just a little slice of heaven over here.
We invite you to come see and taste all that the Texas Hill Country has to offer. With over 50 different winery experiences and a world of wines for every palate. Experience and taste the wineries in your backyard. Texas Hill Country is Texas wine country.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, hello.
Hi. Thanks for joining us tonight. We just want to thank everyone out watching live on Facebook. And for those of you who are watching later, maybe you couldn't make it live tonight and you're watching later this week or even later in the middle of the night when you can't sleep, thank you for coming back and watching us. So tonight we are celebrating Texas Wine Month. You're going to hear all about how Texas Wine Month got started, history of the industry, some really great fun facts, and more about the Hill Country and the wineries that we have on and Texas Department of Ag and everything that they do for us. So THCW started hosting the live happy hour events in April when all of the winery tasting rooms were shut down for the first time. It's been a really great way for us to connect with each other, which is, we've missed each other, with Texas wine lovers across the nation, and share more information about what's happening at the wineries and how you can support them during this time. Over the last 3 months, we've hosted, gosh, I think this is like our 18th one. We've had Katy Jane with us before, and of course, John, but this is Lindsay's first time with us. So we're really excited to have you with us, Lindsay. But like I said, we are celebrating Texas Wine Month, and we're just going to jump right in. So I'd like to introduce our moderator, John Rivenburgh from Kerrville Hills Winery, who is also our current THCW Vice President and will be our president of the association next year. And if you have any questions for the panel or comments about Texas wine, we hope that you'll just drop them in the Facebook comments to the right on your screen, or bottom if you're on your phone or whatever, and just let us know, and we will hopefully get to that tonight. So John, we'll just let you take it away.
Fantastic. Thanks, January, for that great intro. As always, you do a phenomenal job as our executive director for the Texas Hill Country Wineries. I'm super excited about our talk tonight, our happy hour. I am on boards with all of these fantastic women of Texas wine, And as often, we don't get to do this side of things. So it's nice to have a drink, a glass of wine in front of you, and sit here and talk for a little while about Texas wines. I wanted to start this evening, January, with you. I'm going to put you up first.
Yeah, because you know I love this.
I know you do. I figured we'd get it.
You're welcome, Lindsay.
I figured we would get it out of the way, and I'd like to ask some questions tonight that may be slightly off script. Surprise, surprise. But
like we just went over that.
I put on a collared shirt for this, so
if you do that to me, you're in trouble. I'm taking you off the board.
No, they're great questions. They're great questions. So I had one kind of fun question for each one of y'all through the evening, but that we'll get to. But so January, first and foremost, all of you guys are great friends. I've worked with all of you guys in some capacity in my tenure in the wine industry, and I'm very lucky. But what I want to know, and what most people want to know, beyond taking care of us, what drew you to the Texas wine industry, January?
Yeah. So I actually grew up in the wine industry in California, in Templeton, just outside of Paso Robles. My mom and dad bought a vineyard and started a winery. And that was in 1991. So I literally grew up in this industry. And I tell people all the time, that's all I know. I mean, it's not all I know, but it's all I know for work. And it's my love and my passion. And so I was lucky enough to marry a Texan, and we decided to move back out here. And Katy, Jim, we can talk about him later. We decided to move out here, and I told him that the only thing I knew was wine. And so we looked at the hill country, and we were actually at Rodeo Houston, and there was a display of all the awards and wineries, and so many of them were here in the hill country. And so we just decided this was the place for us. And I got to work. My first job in Texas wine was at Flat Creek Estate with Rick and Madeline Neighbor. And I mean, y'all, this panel has heard me say my mom and dad taught me everything about wine, but Rick and Madeline really taught me everything about Texas wine and the industry here, which, the industry across the nation is so similar, but there are nuances in Texas wine that we don't face in California. Like, there's no way I'm planting a vineyard out here because it's really hard. You will hear John and Katy Jane talk about it, I'm sure, that it's hard, and it's a lot harder than it was at home. And so anyways, they taught me all about that. And then I had some babies and was lucky enough to find this position. And when I first started with THCW, Katy Jane was our executive director, and I got to work under her and learn everything about the association and running a nonprofit and all of the things that we do now from her.
I will interject.
Well, thank you.
January, starting being admin, but having this huge wine legacy background that you cannot get her to talk about. She will not name drop. You can't pry it out of her. And it's actually why I am tasting from a tractor this evening. I'm tasting from a tractor in honor of being a grower, representing our grower association. But earlier this week on the phone, she and I were discussing things. Our little ones were going back and forth, and McLean, my 4-year-old, always wants to tour the tractors. And he was like, January, have you seen this particular tractor? And she's like, oh my gosh, McLean, I'll never forget when my dad brought home our brand new tractor to the vineyard. It was so big. It had windows all the way around it. We called it the living room tractor. And then she dug up and sent a picture from her beautiful hillside Paso vineyard of her mom and her dad and these 2 young preteen girls out there, like families do, working the whole thing. And I just thought that was such a great trail is coming ahead of us. A lot of time we needed to move some stuff, and I made the comment well, I didn't know if I could move, I couldn't drive the forklift. It would have been a lot easier to complete the task for the day if I could drive the forklift. And I looked at her and I'm like, can you drive a forklift? And she responded, and she's so demure. She'd never boast ever. And she said, I can drive a forklift backwards, pregnant, and in heels. because she had stacked so much wine in her day, right? And I just remember thinking like, man, I got to step up my game. So.
And look at you coming live from the tractor.
Exactly. I think you've stepped up your game, Katy.
January will never, ever, she'll never give herself a compliment. And I think the best thing that has happened to Texas Hill Country Wineries in the last 20 years has been that girl right there. So I want to say cheers to that. And I think it's awesome that you led with that.
I cannot agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wanting me to spur that we're going to just keep moving. We're going to keep moving along. Katy Jane, give us a little bit about your history. I know you're not a Texan by birth, right? But you got here as fast as you could, and you are a huge advocate. What's that?
Yeah, I got here as fast as I could, like you said. I've been working in regional or local wine, Texas wine, since 2005, May of 2005. And someone in the tasting room not long ago, I mentioned my children, they used the term anchor baby. Evidently, since I've given birth in the great state of Texas, I have an anchor baby, and this legitimizes me now on some level. This is why I love Texans, right? They will find a way to be loyal to everything that they do. So, yeah. I'm super blessed. I was with Texas Hill Country Wineries for 7 years, and then I was with Becker Vineyards for a year, and in that year wanted to really hone in on the growers. I was born in Washington, raised in Oregon, have a lot of passion for those smaller wine regions in the Great Northwest. And my first mission with Becker was to highlight the growers. And in doing that, made a trip to the Texas High Plains, had a 4-hour conversation with one of their grape growers, and eloped 42 days later, became a West Texas farmer's wife, married into a really incredible family who I thought we were just going to grow grapes and sell grapes to the top 20 wineries in Texas, but we have ended up making some wines. It's taken off. We also have retail establishments as well. And then I became blessed to, wow, and look, the tasting room phone doesn't stop. Who would have thought I could have put that on mute? I now represent the High Plains grape growers as well. So it's been a long, fun history, but I am passionate about all that Texas wine can do and still does. And the history is fascinating, really. And if I could turn the tasting room phone off, I would, but I don't know how.
Well, you might want to answer. In this day and age, sales are important. I mean,
sales are so important.
Well, moving along here to Lindsay, I'm sure we'll be bouncing all over the place tonight, and hopefully this spurs lots of interesting conversation, lots of interesting dialogue. Lindsay, indirectly, you're hugely at the hub of what's happening in Texas wine. A lot of people don't know it because you're not on the forefront face of what we would consider like in the tasting room or industry side, but you're the industry insider big time. And so what was your path into Texas wine? I honestly don't know. I know Katy Jane and January very, very well as friends, and I've enjoyed working with you, but I don't know your story. So enlighten us a little bit how you got to where you are.
Sure. So my first job out of college a long time ago was working at the Department of Agriculture. And I was an executive assistant working for Susan Combs, who started Texas Wine Month in 1999. I did not work there in 1999, but not too far after. And I was the executive assistant up in at TDA, and I met the marketing department and learned all about Texas wines and GOTEXAN and the whole program, and I just fell in love with it. And I was like, I want that job one day. And 15 years later, if that doesn't give away my age, here I am being the state wine marketing coordinator, and I love it. I love working with all of y'all. It's so fun to promote this industry. But that's how I got into it. And I've had a lot of fun meeting everyone and learning so much from everyone. And it's just a great community to be a part of. So I've had a lot of fun, but that's how I got into Texas wine.
Awesome.
Hey, John, can I jump in real fast? Lindsay, how long ago did you say you took this job?
So I've been wine marketing coordinator just since 2017, but I have worked.
This is your third Texas Wine Month?
Yes.
Okay, so I want everyone to know that Lindsay was literally hired like 30 days before Texas Wine Month 3 years ago. And she came in, and within 2 weeks, she had a whole brand new, nope, there she is, a whole brand new Texas Wine Month events website page, all the details, and had that thing live and up and running October 1. Like, she came in and hit the ground running. It was so awesome to see. And I think for those of us who watched it, we're just like, this girl is going to do amazing things. And you really have, Lindsay.
We
Sorry,
have a
John,
great team.
jump in there.
No apologies. I mean, I honestly think that moderating a session like this is, you know, we should be totally open in the conversation. Yeah. I'm always amazed with the things, like when we go to our meetings, I'm amazed with what Lindsay's putting together on the skeleton crew that she has at TDA. I mean, it's a big organization, but you guys on the wine part of things don't have a huge budget or a huge amount of people, and you make it look like you do all the time. I've just been totally awestruck by the stuff that's coming out of TDA, and the support that TDA is giving to Texas wine right now is huge. And I can tell you from an industry, as an industry person who makes their living from wine, I appreciate it. Right. And I've stayed on that council as long as I have, strictly because of all the things you guys are doing and the support that you guys are giving us. And so for Texas Wine Month, we appreciate it. And we appreciate Commissioner Miller a lot for the work he does, and Dan Hunter and all the other characters over there at TDA.
Some characters, yeah.
Well, it's Texas. We are full of characters. It's kind of how it happens. I mean, for God's sakes, look, Katy Jane's in a tractor drinking white wine. All them kids in a tractor.
The only safe place.
No, she's smart. She has kids. Like mine, I'm sure one's gonna bust out here in a second.
I know.
Clothes, I don't know. My dad's in charge, so yeah, she's smart. House.
Yeah.
I will say on a personal note, because I think that's one of the funnest things about these happy hours is I feel very blessed to have been accepted into like January's mommy group as a dad who's raising kids, and be able to have like these quote unquote, like, you know, behind closed doors mom conversations with our kids. A lot of people don't know that I'm as passionate about my children as I am my wine. So it is fun to do. And Katy Jane also.
I see it.
I would like to pay Lindsay one more compliment to Lindsay. There is so many personalities or the characteristics, and Texas is a big state, right? When you lay that entire map of Europe across our state, It fits inside, and we're often challenged with what is the one cohesive branding or the one marketing message that we could send out on behalf of Texas wine that everyone could get behind, like other regions do. And that just opens up like a pit fire of snakes for conversation. And Lindsay is always really great about A, remaining calm, that I don't have in me, and then B, she has truly monitored and measured and analytics, and she has it all, and she can show everyone, well, this is what we've ran, this is what people have responded to, this is what we've asked you to do as a winery, and you never answered the call. This is who answered the call. This is who used the collateral, and these are the results. And I love watching her feed the industry back the data that you know, back in the day, everyone had an opinion and nobody had a lot of data to back it up. And she's TDA, like you said, and the driving force behind them has really given her the opportunity to share that with us at any given moment. That's been refreshing.
Thank you, Katy Jane.
It's true.
And full disclosure, we the three people besides Lindsay's obviously involved with TDA, but the three other people on this call are all on the Sid Miller's or Commissioner Miller's wine council. So we have firsthand knowledge of how great they're doing over there. And that's fantastic. Lindsay, since we're like honing in on you and you're never in the spotlight and we're like shining it on you.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I know. It's a good thing.
Sorry, Lindsay.
What can you tell me? What's one thing you're super excited about for Texas Wine Month right now? I did get your fantastic email with all the updates.
Good.
So I have the cheat sheet, if you will.
I mean, we're doing a lot of at-home things. We launched a wine and snack pairing for kind of like those Netflix and chill nights recently, and we'll have a wine tasting guide, a wine pairing guide, how to buy wine. Sign up on uncorktexaswines.com. It's plural, uncorktexaswines.com for our newsletters. We don't send out a lot. We send out one a week during October and then once a month during the rest of the year. But we have a lot of great content and some fun pairing ideas. And go to our website to find the wineries near you that are open and ready for business. Pick up, ship, support your local wineries still, where they're still, even if you can't be there in person, order it for shipping, order it for pickup. It's a great time to help support your wineries, because we're all in the same situation and it's been tough. So, but there's a lot of fun stuff coming. So please sign up and register.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay.
The amazing graphics that she turns out.
Yep.
Tools. She provides us tools. That's what we need in this industry. We need tools.
Well, some would argue we got a lot of tools in this industry, but I'm going with that. I'm going to embarrass myself. Just real rapid fire. Like, Lindsay, what are you drinking?
I'm about to pour more of William Chris Pet Nat 2019.
Nice.
Sorry that the label's a little bit funky, but yeah, it's one of my favorites right now.
Nice. January, what do you got? What are you drinking?
So we did not coordinate this, but I too am drinking a William Chris Pet Nat. A couple of reasons that I picked this. One, it was one of the only sparklings I have left because they're kind of my favorite. But 2020, the worst. Two, pink is really important this month because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So anytime that we can wear it, talk about it, share it, pink is the color. But I do want to say that Lindsay's is a 2019 and mine's a 17. That's because I'm really selfish and I hold on to stuff and because I don't want to share with anybody. So like tonight's the perfect night for me to drink it because there's nobody here and I can have it all to myself.
So nice.
And Katie Jane, what are you drinking? Please, if you hold up a William Chris wine, just
Okay, well, I declare we proudly sell 8 acres of fruit to William Chris. However, I'm drinking my own wine in a very ridiculous manner. That's because I came racing from the tasting room. But while shoving it in the box and calling everyone over from my family, being like, can somebody move a tractor closer to the router? I don't ask for much very often, and everyone denying me except for our second cousin, Jack Trey. I give Jack Trey a shout out. Hell of a mechanic, hell of a pecan grower. He moved the tractor for me. I can drive the Vineyard tractors. I do not drive the 8220s. Let's be real. That have saddle tanks on and plows. I can drive them once they're started. I cannot start them, lift the plow safely. It's a lot of money grip talking. So I shoved the wine in the box and totally ripped off the label. But it's our sparkling Malvasia Bianca. Farmhouse was the first in the state to plant Malvasia Bianca. Many people have followed suit. And it's sparkling in style. And the reason it is called Boyfriend is because our husbands are actually always gone somewhere on a tractor. And so we treat the wine like our boyfriend. And truth be told, as growers, we couldn't give that varietal away. Nobody wanted it. We had an overage every year. And so we made our very first flagship white wine out of it called Housewife as a joke. This is a joke. I became anybody's housewife again. And we had a great success with it. And so then we made actually 4 wines out of it. Just because we had it. Now we have a waiting list for it. So we're really proud of that as farmers. I think you'll always find your High Plains growers, farmers, any producer, any maker They take something, lemon out of lemonade. I mean, hello 2020. Makers of anything usually try and take a scrap or a salvage. John, you're in love with Tanat. It's not a scrap by any means, but something obscure, and you find a patch, you stick a flag in it, right? And it becomes your flagship something, and it's a hill that you'll die on. For us, Malvasia Bianca is a hill that we'll die on the white side, and Kunwas on the red side. So that's what I'm drinking. I have another wine I want to talk about later on the history side of things, but we're waiting for you to ask really more eloquent.
Wait, what's John drinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
Looks like a
I don't think that's
bubbly
wine.
drink.
No. Definitely not wine.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
It's usually some hard alcohol in it, Katy.
Being a maker of wine, a producer, I'm glad you asked, Lindsay. Several years ago, I had the distinct pleasure of getting some mentoring from this fantastic French winemaker, and he was great, fantastic. And I'll tell you guys some stories about him one of these days, not on our happy hour. But he started me on this process of not drinking finished wine during harvest and only tuning your palate to your fermentations that are currently being finished. And we still have one pressing left to do. We have got Carmenere, which we will be pressing tomorrow. Thank goodness it went dry today, and I'm super excited. It'll be our last press for the year tomorrow. But to beat all the way around your story, or your question rather, I am drinking, this is a 2020 vintage Chateau de Tito's vodka and soda, which is my afternoon drink of choice. I'm not a beer drinker. I don't drink beer. When I'm not in my non-wine drinking phase, I usually drink a whole lot of rosé. And unlike you guys, I'm not getting checks from Chris. So I didn't bring it. I'm joking. It's a joke.
Whoa.
I drank, but hey, we did have Black Hands the other night, and I hoarded all of Chris's Morved. I drank all that to myself, but I cheated on not drinking wine on Black Hands the other night. So I did drink some Chris. And truth be told, I was going to drink the other bottle of Morved, but somebody snaked it out of our cooler because we have all these different winemakers here. And so, joking, everybody, sorry. Love Chris. He was here with us the other night at dinner. We had a lovely night. But yeah, I'm drinking vodka. So Texas vodka. So
Tito's all the way.
And GOTEXAN wine, because it takes, in contrary to belief, up on the hill, it takes a lot of really good vodka to make great wine. So that is what we're doing up here. Moving on. I would like to ask either January or Katy Jane to field this one. Was it 94 or 95 when Hill Country Wineries? What was the birth year? Or 98? Texas Hill Country Winery. I should know this, but I don't.
You go, Jane.
98?
So it was actually 99.
99. Oh, it was 99. Okay.
So last year was our 20th anniversary. Yep.
I did know that. I just not good at math.
It was GOTEXAN. Yay.
Yeah. It was GOTEXAN. Yeah. I will say earlier, interesting story about Texas Wine Month and Texas wines. I had the distinct pleasure of doing one of these happy hours earlier in the year with some of the founding members of Texas Hill Country Wineries, and it was so much fun. I think I actually got Dr. Becker to shut his screen off, and because I was drinking a wine that I bought when I was 21, and I joined his wine club when I was the only guy in his winery, 20 something years ago. And anyway, then the other day I had somebody who was involved with the winemaking at that time here at the winery, and they informed me that was like a ridiculously special wine because there were only like apparently 50 cases of this wine made, and it was like somehow I had received an experimental like case. But I was just some schmo who was buying wine. So apparently all these years later, I find out that somebody accidentally sold me a wine that wasn't supposed to be sold. It was a Barbera. that they had not released until the following year. But somehow I had a Barbera that I've been coveting all these years to drink, and I weaseled it out of my cooler to drink it, and it was phenomenal because I love Barberas.
Yeah, I bet it was good.
And so yeah, for that, it was very fun to start with that history. January.
So that was a really awesome live event. And if you are watching and you missed it, it is on our website. We have under the blog section, we have a video, all of our videos, and all of the lives are on there. That one was back in like April 16th. It was so long ago, I think. But it was such a great night. I mean, as soon as we clicked off that live, John and I called each other and we're like, oh my gosh, those people, like their history, it was amazing. And I wasn't on. I got to sit in the back and just watch and shut off my screen and listen. And like, I laughed so hard I cried. I was just so blown away by their stories, I cried. So if you missed that, seriously, go to TexasWineTrail.com, find the blogs, find the videos, and watch that one because it was really phenomenal.
It was.
Yes.
Sure, I watched it. I remember it was a good one.
Yeah.
So Katie Jane, up in the High Plains, what fun or interesting things are happening for Texas Wine Month up there?
Well, we have been on a very fun journey in like Race to the Texas Wine documentary. We have two different directors that are shooting a documentary about Texas wine. One's kind of a lone wolf and one is a full-scale production company. We're supporting both of them in a financial effort because we want the story of Texas wine to get out there to the masses. We believe, certainly with COVID and people staying home as much as they have and the ability, but we all know the story of TV Munson and how incredible that is, and I think sometimes we maybe take it for granted. How we've talked about this in our council meetings, how it maybe was originally told in a book through an educational forum is antiquated now. It's excellent information, but it maybe doesn't appeal to today's wine drinker or demographic. It's just not clickable, and it's just not alluring enough. But the story itself still holds that, in a certain time frame and Jus de Phylloxera in France and certain ABAs that are very coveted, they had, the disease, that's certain disease that caused, they were burning the vineyards. They were getting up in the morning and burning the vineyards all day and night. And the Legion of France, which in filming the documentary, I've learned some really incredible things, such as Benjamin Clay's grandfather actually has this very same medal, this very same award that is bestowed on TV Munson. Benjamin Clay's grandfather also holds that same award, which was very cool to learn and listen to him talk about. It's quite an accolade. But the Legion of France, their government, reached out to a young horticulturist, Denison, Texas, to solve this problem. He took rootstock from the nearby ditches and bars, things that grew wild. They put those grafts on a barge. They sent them across the ocean. And that is what, ultimately saved their viticulture in that country. And so you want to get kind of kitschy about it. And there is truly a statue that has been erected in a square there that, in French, it's gorgeous, that the government has put up. And some people have traveled to see it. I myself have not made the venture, but I've seen the pictures and I've told the story no less than 20,000 times. But I like to end on my little slideshow with it loosely translates to the French. No, sir. So sorry about the tile. The chile's now trying to get in the tractor. So sorry. Loosely translates into God bless Texas, right? And therefore, the smoking hot farmer moment is working. Get down.
Let him in.
And I'm so sorry about this moment. We are now trying to capture the essence of that and tell it in a very visual story about how the growers are just challenged with so many things and that we have prevailed. We have all the plagues in the Bible as far as growing on the Texas High Plains, and we have prevailed. We still put premium fruit in the hands of premium wine growers, and it has served us well. Anyone else would like to take over the career right now so that I may get my husband to get my child? I would
We love
really-
all the working moms. Yay,
Yes,
yay, yay.
all the working moms.
All the comments say, let him in, let him in.
Oh my Lord, are you kidding me? This
Yes,
is
let's see that. Let's see that sweet baby.
I mean,
Is that
if
McLean?
that's not Texas wine, then what is?
There is
Let him-
no place safe on the farm, I swear.
Hey, Katie, you gotta let my boy McLean in the car. Dude. Come
Are you
on.
kidding me?
Tractor.
Okay, he's so obsessed. Are you, all right.
Okay, so this is like
working.
I think that anybody watching.
Message. Like, I was to be alone for 1.5 hours.
This is the epitome of 2020 trying to work from home.
I just muted her.
But
All the time at
I
home
mean, this is the
working.
epitome.
Hey, buddy.
Yes. So awesome.
What's up, man?
this in the driveway? Because Mama is working. Now, say cheers to October Texas Wine Month. Cheers. Cheers to October Texas Wine Month. And thank you. We've got to go. Okay, we've got to go.
Good job, McLean.
Bye, McLean.
No, Mama is working. But I know this is non-negotiable. You made.
I have a date for him.
So,
Yeah.
Like 10 years.
I will not let you
You do.
So,
What's so great is Katie Jane and I will talk like anytime during the day, or we'll FaceTime or whatever. And he's like, "Is that true? Can I talk to her? Can I tell her these stories?" And it's like no big deal. And Katie Jane's like, "Fine, whatever." And so I talked to McLean for a little bit, and then we finished our business and hang up. It's so great. But she used to get after me when my kids would make all the noise.
For the first 2 years,
Right,
first 2
John?
years of me having a
Oh,
child,
yeah.
I would call January up on 3 times a week and apologize and be like, I was the worst human ever.
You,
I apologize.
Katie Jane literally asked me one time, she's like, "Do you bring those kids everywhere you go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of do. I don't really have much of a choice. They're my children." Yeah. And I think I spent there. I have some great pictures. Actually, the other night I was going through, I was looking I was trying to do like some nostalgic history and looking, and I've got a great picture of one of the, McLean is like, I don't know if he was even a year old. And Katie Jane just walked up and handed me McLean, and she's like, "Here, you want to hold him?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I want to hold this guy."
Aww.
And I think I spent half the evening at the Hill Country Winery Symposium holding McLean, drinking wine, which was fantastic. I was jealous because he had cool hair, and I still didn't have any at that point.
I think
so
that is the year that January and I've hit a throttle. Everyone. Serious.
Oh my gosh. I can just see Katie Jane like
Crashing
moving out into
Taking
the
out the yard fence for the
just
love.
go backwards. Don't go forward into the winery or into the tasting
A
room.
really expensive plow. I cannot
Yeah.
go backwards with that
Yeah,
plow.
it's a really good tractor also. Don't crash.
2220, man. Let's just apologize for that. And now, January, let's talk about all the years where we could do, before this modified version on Spirit, the restaurant wine pairings, when we could go in and do October Texas Wine Month and celebrate in our restaurants. We'll get back there someday, won't we?
Well, Lindsay was actually saying last night on the state, tell me if I get this wrong, State Fair Blue Ribbon virtual tastings. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Like live or Zoom, that they are bringing back those little cards. Those cards that you could leave at the restaurants that said, "Thank you for carrying Texas wine."
Yeah, and we got
so
we have some funding to bring that back. Well, we're gonna bring that back no matter what. But to leave at restaurants and retailers to say thank you for carrying Texas wines, or hey, when I go to restaurants and I see one Texas wine on the menu and it's by the bottle, it's not by the glass, or hey, put it on there. So leave it in the check presenter. Tell them that, hey, we want to see a Texas wine on your list. But also we received some funding from USDA. So we're the Texas Department of Agriculture, and I applied for a grant and received funding from the United States Department of Agriculture. And we haven't been able to implement it yet because of COVID and everything. But we're going to take, wineries to New York again. We're going to take wineries to San Francisco again. And we hope to have a expo with retailers and buyers and distributors where we can get tastings in front of these folks of Texas wine so that we can get more Texas wines available locally in restaurants and HEBs and retailers and grocers. Total Wine and More, I know they do great too, but we want to make sure that the Texas industry is as big as all the other states in the retailers and on the wine list, because we're as good, if not better than them. We're winning awards. Go to uncorktexaswines.com, look at our awards page. I mean, we're killing it at the awards, international awards. So we're trying, we're getting there, but COVID has slowed us down a little bit because we can't travel anywhere, we can't do anything, but USDA.
Honestly, I think that COVID has been yes, we've had our challenges with closed tasting rooms and whatnot, but I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of guest lodging properties. And so I get these really great analytics, and everyone that is booking that's coming to the Hill Country, it shows me, where they're coming from. They're coming from 150 miles away. They're coming from the furthest away is 300 miles away. And I honestly see COVID as almost this blessing that forced people to visit what is in their own backyard, right? We are geared as Americans, in other countries, you love your cheesemaker that's in your 8-mile radius. You love the winemaker that is within the village. You source always from within your village. And in America, we are geared to believe that it must be more expensive and it must come from the opposite coast to have any value. And I feel like COVID has really said to people, like, get in your car, take that 3-hour drive and see what's in your own backyard. And that has been great for the tasting rooms and the brands that want to get out and hustle. Like, we were very open about, we're going to deliver you wine, but man, it's going to have French fries on the floor of our SUVs. And there could be 1 or 2 screaming boys in the car with us. And we were very authentic about it, and people didn't mind. In fact, same people who said, let the child into the tractor, were the same people who purchased our wines from us. And so I think it's time to stop apologizing when we talk about Texas wine, like we make Texas wine and then we have to defend it. L to the no. We've been winning in Lyon, France. We've been winning everywhere.
So good.
Yeah,
so
we're on par and then some. And what we need is for people to make sure they make their reservation when they come here to taste it, because we're worth it.
That's very well said. I have these conversations often with other owners and operators, and one of the things that I think made the Hill Country as successful as it is one, the foundation obviously that was put in place many years ago, but 8, 9, and 10 during the recession, people with money that could fly to France weren't flying to France because they thought, well, I'm not going to spend that money to fly to France. I hear the Texas Hill Country is pretty. Let's stay in the Texas Hill Country, right? And so they came and visited the Hill Country in droves. People that were going to go to California decided, no, we're just going to stay here and see the Hill Country. And when we opened our winery during that time, my first winery, it was amazing to see how many people we were getting that were like, we just wanted to get away for the weekend. And it's funny, I've been talking to other folks who weren't in business at that time that are clients or friends, whatever. And it's the same pattern scenario, but now it's COVID that are keeping people from traveling, right? It's almost like people are ready to get out. People are ready to explore safely
Yes.
and within the guidelines, right? But they're not going to fly. They're not going to jump on an airplane and go to California, but they'll drive from Houston, Dallas, or Austin into the Hill Country and stay in a B&B, eat in our restaurants, and come and visit our wineries because we can do it safely and appropriately, much better than most any other hospitality industry can, in my opinion, in the state. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, we talk about it. Kelly and I talk about it all the time. It's amazing. It's like people are being teleported from like Houston to like our little part of the world, and they're just ready to get out and move around. And so I think we're getting ready to see the next big boom in Texas wine, much like we did in 08, 09, and 2010. Speaking about history and the history of Texas Wine Month, a quick little anecdote was getting a write-up in Edible Austin and having like not seen anybody for the month of September in our tasting room, and then having one little article about Edible Austin. Next thing I know, there's like 60 people a day in our tasting room through Texas Wine Month. And that was quite literally my very first experience with Texas Wine Month, was being part of the original Passport program and the original trail. And it was really cool to see. Today, being moved away from that side of the world and then now back being an owner in a winery, and having to do some of the dog and pony show, the hospitality side of what we do, not just get to be the winemaker and grape grower. We got great accolades by the folks. We had people that came in today that were on the Texas Hill Country Wineries, extended wine and wildflowers, if you will. And they loved it. They loved the app. They loved the way we put it together. They loved the presentations of what the wineries are offering. And so that was very encouraging to see people coming that these people had never been to the Texas wine industry or into the wine region at all. And so it was really, really encouraging to see. And so, yeah, I think you're right, Katy Jane. I think people are ready. And I think we're going to see another huge growth and surgence of Texas wine over the next year.
It's crazy.
Thanks to COVID.
Yeah, I don't feel that old, but I can remember in starting, the tickets were mailed. The tickets were physically mailed out of Texas Hills Vineyard, by hand, written on a list, mailed by hand. And I remember, I had a little apartment in Austin on 620 and 2222, and that first Texas Wine Month sitting out, I think the logo for that was an armadillo that Peggy from Pillar Bluff had drawn on the passport cover that year. And January was with us when we decided, when we took the tickets to an online ticket only, and that seemed like too big to handle. Now you guys are here on an all digital passport. Like, we have watched the evolution of the tourism, as well as the savviness of the winemakers change, the wineries as a whole, the marketing message. And the one thing that hasn't changed, while there might be bumps and glitches, is just the true enthusiasm and the support from our consumers who want to support us any way they can. Sometimes adapting isn't always as easy as we'd like it to go, but their enthusiasm doesn't lessen. And I think that's a real gift to have.
I agree. Hey, January, do we have any questions, comments, anything of interest that has popped up through our happy hour so far?
Yeah, somebody actually had asked about tasting rooms, and you two had addressed what's happening at Kerrville Hills and the Farmhouse locations. But our Lindsay, who's not on with us tonight, was able to drop in the link to our resource saying, showing what was happening at all of the tasting rooms. So that's been one question, but there's just lots of praise in here. It's really cool to see. And it's, you guys get to interact with consumers in your tasting rooms every day. But we get to see them online and talk to them, just on the phone, really, about trails and events, and help them plan their visits. And it has evolved. Our consumers have evolved because our wines and our winemakers and the overall message of Texas wine has. And there is, and I can say this because I'm married to a Texan, there is a dedication to Texas grown, Texas produced, Texas made that does not exist anywhere else in the world, anywhere. And so,
I will back that, January, with our GOTEXAN program. That's what we are all about, and that's what makes the program as successful as it is that we have this 97% backing of customers that want to buy local. And
we've seen that over COVID, right? Like Texas pecans, because it's also Texas Pecan Month, y'all. Texas Wine Month, Texas Pecan Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, all the things.
My child spilling the wine on it. You did your post today about Texan pecans, and it's true. Like, there's so many ways to pair with the other producers in this state, and TDA does such an amazing job of that. So I just want to say
I wasn't planning on plugging it, but we have a website that because State Fair was canceled, we do have a website that we try to create quickly and we are going to build on in the future with all of our GOTEXAN members, but it is shop.gotexan.org. If you want to go and see the members that you would have seen in our pavilion normally during the state fair, they'll be there. We're going to keep building on it and let all of our GOTEXAN partners have an opportunity to sell their products on our page, but please visit it and shop local, shop often, and you know, our partners are hurting as everything's been canceled this year. I mean, everything we planned for, it's been planning, canceled, planning, canceled. So everything we planned for this year has been canceled. So the growers and the producers and the makers have just been the hardest hit this year. So I know y'all know that as well because of everything that the wine industry has gone through.
I think that we see that from our side for wine, right, Lindsay? So we see what it's been like for John and Katy Jane and their families adapting from, okay, you're shut down, and then, oh, you can open, and then, oh no, you got to shut down again. Yeah. And then you can open a little bit, but you got to be a restaurant. And then we're kind of like, these guys have been all over the place for the last 6 months, and they have adapted. They've gone virtual. They've done curbside. They've literally driven cases to people's houses. I mean, they have done all the things. So we see that on a daily basis, but I think that we forget that about all of the other commodities across the state, pecans, you know, all of the makers that, and I was on that GOTEXAN shop page the other day, and there's tons of stuff on there. And there are things across the state that you can just jump on and buy. And for me, I see what our wineries are doing every day. And they have just exploded on social, exploded virtually, all the deals, all the things. And I think it's really good for you guys to be able to put that out there for what is happening across the rest of the state and the other industries.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, we all need as much love as possible. Everyone's events have been canceled. A lot of our members or partners have, you know, their biggest moneymaker is their participation in the GOTEXAN Pavilion at the State Fair. So, you know, it was tough when State Fair canceled in June or July or whenever it was. Yeah. And, you know, it took us, we got a site up and running in no time. And it's not perfect, but it's good. And there's a lot of members or partners there that you can buy from. So we suggest you shop them at shop.gotexan.org.
Thank you. Yeah, they don't realize that like one bottle makes the difference. You know, when you hear about wine, people imagine people walking out with cases, and it's always billed as such a luxury product. One bottle makes the difference, right, John? Those 1 in 3 bottle sales.
I quite literally had the conversation with my staff today that like we're in the situation that if we forget to close the gate during the day on a Tuesday and somebody drives up to our tasting room, somebody better be rubbing their shoulders and selling them some wine. Yeah, they walk out because every bottle counts. It quite honestly is the difference between like keeping our lights on or not, or keeping people employed or not. And you know, I'm a Texan to the core. I'm a 6th generation Texan. I always think it's funny that when January and I first met, she swore I was from Southern California. She's like, you sound like you're from California. And I was like, let me get a couple drinks in me and I'll sound like my granddad from Bandera, Texas. I promise you. But the point being is like, I challenge all Texans. I challenge everybody in social media. Buy Texan, whether it's Texas wine, whether it's Texas pecans, whether it's Texas beef, Texas products, period. We should be supporting Texans, period. And I'm in the wine industry, so I'll talk a little bit about the wine industry. Being Texas Wine Month, you know, the Texas wine industry has brought a very rich history to Texas over the years. A lot of people don't know we were one of the largest we were the largest producer of wine before Prohibition many years ago. We have one of the oldest wineries in the country, Valverde Winery in Del Rio, Texas. And those families did everything they could to maintain Sacramento wine and people in Texas drinking wine during Prohibition and before and after Prohibition. And I kind of see this as a prohibition in a way to just our general lives. And so I challenge all Texans to put your money where your mouth is. I know you can get cheap wine, and I'm sorry if my other partners out there who have Texas businesses, I love you too, but we're an agricultural business and our life is farm to table. And so I challenge Texans to buy Texas. We're making killer wines, and I challenge you to go out and find the wines you like. If it's in High, great. If it's in Stonewall, fantastic. If it's in Kerrville, well then, you've got it right. But I think we can really, really get something exciting happening in the next year. And we have a great history. We have a rich history in Texas of making wines. And I think that the more people that we get experimenting with Texas wines, the greater will be for a lot longer history moving forward. That being said, I do have one other question, and I'm trying to find this. I've got an interesting question. Does anybody know when the Bonarigos started making wine? Does anybody know this? This is really cool to me.
I feel like I looked that up the other day. I saw it the other day.
No, come on.
Stateside, or the fifth generation Sicilian grandmother across the pond? Like,
Katy Jane, come on now.
No, I'm saying honestly, like they go back so far. They have pictures.
I know
of them stomping grapes. So are you talking about in Texas, or are you talking about the European version?
I'm talking about in Texas.
Okay, in Texas.
Wait, we should not say, we should ask, and people need to comment in the Facebook comments. And if the first person, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Sorry, Lindsay, if you're watching. So THCW, it's two people. It's myself and Lindsay, who is helping out and monitoring all the things. Yeah, she's gonna hate me for this. First person to answer this gets a complimentary Texas wine passport ticket.
Ooh, nice.
A couple's ticket. Yeah, nice, John.
Paul Sr. has shared those images, right? Like Paul Sr. is like a vault, right? He shares those articles and those images in every single group. So it's available if you get to Googling.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And
there's also
funny. Yeah. I didn't know this till I got in the wine business, but I had a relative send me photographs, and on the back of the original vintages of Bending Branch wines, the photograph that's on the back is my family outside of Stuttgart, Germany, growing Riesling and Gewürztraminer in their vineyard before they came to the U.S., which is pretty cool. But it's nothing like the Bonarigos. I bring the Bonarigos up because they've been killing it for a long time, and I think they have as far as Texas history goes, Paul and Merrill have a huge, much like Dr. Becker and Bunny, they have a huge history in Texas wines. And they're like one of the first true like multi-generation family legacies in our state. And I hope to be the Paul Bonarigo at some point in my life, not with the hats or the suits, but
you gotta get a beret.
But in a legacy for one or all of my children to continue in making Texas wines, because I would absolutely love for there you go. Yeah. I would love that we have multiple legacies, because that's quite honestly, selfishly, that's what's going to make Texas is it's going to be my kids and my kids' kids, my grandkids that are going to turn this place into something that is of worldwide notoriety. It's not going to be me and my goofy friends making wine and growing grapes. It's going to be our kids that really truly take it to the next level. And so I admire the Bonarigos for what they've accomplished and what they're doing. So I was looking at the history for that. So, and I'm glad you gave away a passport, and we didn't even have to vote on. We didn't have to call the board or anything.
Well, Lindsay did text me. She's like, "I'm watching," and that's hilarious. Laughing emoji. Yeah. So sorry, Lindsay. Okay. So one more time, John asked if anybody knew what year the Bonarigos started making wine in Texas, which was clarified, right?
Yeah, in Texas.
To answer in the comments gets a complimentary Texas Wine Month passport from THCW, a couple's passport. So go.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Well, and I want to know specifically, not like the first vintage, because I think I did some really good research here. The first vineyard Like when they literally, they like their first vineyard, first planting, they first operated. Because if you're growing grapes, you're in the wine business, right? So that's what I'm looking for. Not their first vintage, but their first actual like foray planting into the Texas wine industry.
Okay, looks
And if
like
somebody,
we have a winner.
what? Well, do we? What's the?
It is, so the answer that someone gave, and I'm chatting with Lindsay, is 1977, which I believe is correct.
Think so
That is,
too.
that,
Think so too.
from what I understand is correct. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Congratulations, Melissa Perry. Thank you for playing. We will check in with you via Facebook, Melissa. And thank you, everybody else. We've got a couple of other answers in there. So thank you. Oh, and I'm getting all the texts.
All the text.
Yeah.
As Karen,
Our firm,
correct,
Right Idea, Danielle, she just texted me because she wrote the blog. She did all the research. They all know.
Yeah, I mean, I was willing to, I was going to exclude like some people who had, I was like, I want to know who it was, because it's like, okay, Karen,
Yeah,
Karen doesn't.
No, Karen doesn't count, and neither does Danielle. But I don't know Melissa, so I don't think that she would know. So I'm sure she did her research.
No, it's fine.
Bill Perry just asked though about the Allers, asking what year they planted. Anybody have any idea on that?
Oh, I think it's 1973. If I had to, I'm pretty sure it's 73.
That's a really good segue. This is not a shameless plug.
It is.
I'm not trying to sell this wine, but I do want to talk about. Okay, so the thing that I love about Texas and Texas wines, we may, as an industry, experience from time to time some discourse. We may experience, because we're so diversified in our growing regions, in our areas, things of that nature. But one thing that I do love about us as a whole is if your press breaks down, if your chiller breaks down, if your truck breaks down, you can set aside those differences. You can call that person and say, I need your help. And they will absolutely, they will save your bacon. And then we will resume our discourse on Tuesday the following week, right? Like good old fashioned duels should be had. So we grow Roussanne. I see a lot of people say Roussanne. Benedict from Coleman Cellars, being that she is French, schooled me one day in the vineyard so very hard that I'll never forget it. And she's French. And she told me if I said Roussanne one more time, because I was growing it, that I could never show my face again. So I will say Roussanne, means little red one in the French. And we grow Roussanne for Becker Vineyards and Coleman Vineyards. But I've never particularly liked the taste of it. I always like it mixed in a three-way blend on Marsanne, other things. I don't ever want to drink 100% Roussanne. You have to be a really good winemaker to rate it. She's kind of finicky to grow. She's racy. She's got a lot of things. Anyway, we said to our winemaker, like, listen, we don't know if this contract's going to hold forever. We've got this white wine. Everybody walks in asking for Chardonnay all the time. I joked one day, the difference, Charlet, Chardonnay. What about the Allers? I mean, that's how they even got started in this business. They went to France looking for Chardonnay or for Charlet cattle, right? That's Ed Aller, who is the signature on filing for the Texas Hill Country Wineries ABA as an attorney. Went looking for Charlet cattle, and Susan drug him to some odd wineries, 50 some odd wineries in that time period. So we decided to make for Farmhouse just 96 cases of a barrel fermented, totally Chardonnay style out of Roussanne. We then went so far, my sister-in-law and I, to put a Charlet cow on the label. Much to our husbands, they did not know dismay. They were mortified when they saw the label, absolutely mortified. But what they didn't know is that every woman that picks it up from there on after goes, oh my God, look, it's a cow, it's so cute. And women buy wine. So this particular wine, which we released in December, is a total tribute to the Allers and to the Texas Hill Country, which has been the driving force as a tourism economy and the great place where the Hill Country wineries gathered for putting Texas wine on the map. And I think that that's one of the things that Texans do best is pay homage where homage is due. So yes, of talking about the great families in history, it's important that we always honor them. And Texas Wine Month does bring that up every year, whether you want to or not. You've got 30 days to talk about the OGs, right? That got us here.
Yep.
You're a big deal, John. You're famous. You can lay across barrels. You can do all of your things.
I've done some things. I've done some things. Thank you, Katie.
But we're still going to talk about the ones that came before you.
Oh, of course. I'm. You can ask Jay. I'm like the first to lay homage to the foundation. Like you, I was when we did that back in April. I was like,
cool.
I John Rivenburgh the hell out of that. January was like, well, we need a moderator, and I was like, no, I'm doing it. Like, what you mean you need a moderator? Like, I want to talk to these people because I think it's super cool. Like the history of what we do, I wouldn't get to lay across barrels. I wouldn't get to talk about Tanat. I wouldn't get to make Roussan because that's what Thomas Jefferson called it when he planted it. I wouldn't get to talk about, sorta. I wouldn't get to talk about, I wouldn't get to make Petnat. I wouldn't get to make Paquette. I wouldn't get to do all of these crazy things that I get to do if it wasn't for the Allers, if it wasn't for the Bonarigos, if it wasn't for the Beckers. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be in this industry. I'd still be in construction. Hell, I'd be close to retiring at this point, but I'm not. And I get to do something that I absolutely love every single day, right? And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these folks. And so when we started talking about the history of Texas and Texas Wine Month, and I again, January this time asked me, John, I think we should do this. This would be really cool. And I went, absolutely, without a doubt, like hands down, we need to talk about Texas Wine Month. We need to talk about how we make phenomenal wines, how we're continuing to advance our enology, how we're continuing to advance our viticulture technology, how we're continuing to, grow fantastic grapes, which, my God, the quantity is what it is this year, but the quality is through the roof. I made some wines this year that I would take the Pepsi challenge with anybody, anywhere in the world, quite honestly. I made some wines that in 14 years stunned me for the first time in a long time. And so, no, I absolutely love talking about the folks in this world.
You were involved with this. You were involved with this, with the viticulture program with A&M.
You just have that hanging out in your tractor?
Well, I do have my buddy seat in my tractor is my bar, and it was set up really cool until the child burst in and spilled everything. So this is my only copy of the textbook. But talking about the viticulture and enology, like you just did, is like, we truly have now a program that can start at the high school level for certification. Not everybody can afford to take a livestock show animal, right?
Yeah.
And this is course curriculum that has been developed by the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension program that we all have access to. Like, I don't know that these are things that everyone knows, and I think we maybe take them for granted, but you were very adamant about this being implemented, I think, in Mason was the first place, right?
So that actually came out of our Texas Hill Country Wineries Growers Committee, and John was saying we need to start at the bottom. We need to start with these kids in high school and give them that education of what's happening in the vineyard and how that all works, and start them in year one and make it a 4-year program. So by the time they graduate, they have enough experience for these wineries and these vineyards to hire them, and they can just jump right in, at an entry-level job, but with the knowledge that the growers needed and not having to train them right away, and then hopefully advance and really just grow this industry. It absolutely came from there, from John.
Yeah, generational farm families or generational families that have worked in the fields here with us on the high plains due to row crops, right? And so they've been hoe hands, and they're cotton, they do cotton season, they do all of these other all of these other row crop things. And it's been the first time that we've been able to say, look, this is skilled labor, and you're no longer making $12 an hour. You can make X an hour. This is a certification program, or this is a education that you can take. You don't have to go down this path if you don't want to. And it's a degree, and you are light years ahead of people in this field because you've been out here with your parents since you were, 11 and 12, coming and going from the field. And we have 3 kids now just within our own group that have been like, I'm majoring in this. minoring in this and watching that evolution. It's been the most satisfying thing I've done in my 20-year history, hands down.
I cannot begin to tell you, like, I don't know how much most of you guys know kind of what we're doing up here on the hill, but like we're mentoring out winemakers all the time. I mean, that's what we're doing. I mean, right now we've got more women. I'm pretty sure we have more Texas women winemakers starting in the industry, learning here at the Hill than we have anywhere in the state of Texas. We have what, Kelly, 7? So is that what we counted the other night? We have 7 women starting as winemakers. They're not on Instagram. They're not salespeople. No offense to people who are on Instagram or salespeople, but they quite honestly are here every day, cleaning hoses, squeegeeing the floors, doing pump overs, running numbers. Like, they're winemakers. And I love it, right? Like when this whole thing came about wanting to start getting kids involved with agriculture from what is going to be, in my opinion, the next big agricultural boom through the hill country in Texas. You know, I had the idea, and along with January, we put a lot of things in place, and there were some guys in Mason that ran with it, and then some guys from Texas A&M, they did the nuts and bolts. But I mean, the early conversations came from us at Hill Country Wineries, because quite honestly, like, it's great that you're a biochemist. It's great that you've got a master's degree, but if you don't know how to hook up a 3-point sprayer on a tractor, you're not really helping us in the vineyard, right? And I'm not going to pay you $80,000 a year for me to teach you how to drive a sprayer. And so we needed those kids that had that background. And from a history standpoint, I'm so glad, because like some of these early kids now are like, we're actually seeing them in the industry. Shara Mills from her is one.
Total badass.
She is a total badass. Is, in my opinion, one of the best grape growers we have in the state. And the girl just, like, when she figures it out, Katy bar the doors, dude. Like, she's gonna take the reins and nobody's gonna stop her. But I love the fact that I helped mentor her along, and like, you know, she's making wine now. She made a rosé with me this year from 100% estate to not grapes from her place that she grew, and that's cool. And that's the history, right? That's the history behind all these things that were developed. And that's the great thing about this state, that we're moving at a light speed pace. We didn't let COVID slow us down. We didn't stop. We made wine. Our TDA, department made sure that we were essential business, and we kept killing it, and it didn't stop us. There are other places in the world that didn't get to make wine this year. And thank God that we're Texas, and we got great leadership, and we were able to continue to do that. But from a history standpoint, it's really cool that we're going to look back someday. And I hope that for me, my legacy is going to be all the people that I helped get started and shape. And someday they want to put me as the old guy on one of these, on some Zoom happy hour. It'll probably be like virtual digital hologram or something, or maybe the phone will crash and we'll all have to do it back in person again. But I don't know. But we're just really excited about what we're doing here on the Hill with all the women winemakers and all the people that we're incubating out into the world and making wine here in our think tank. January, one interesting thing, I am going to put a plug, because the world that we are in, we have decided we are doing a Christmas bazaar. We're calling it Christmas on the Hill. And in lieu of all of the small communities in the Hill Country, not necessarily having Christmas festivities, I am very much a family-driven person who loves my family holidays. And so we are going to have a Christmas bazaar up here on the Hill. We're going to take all 30 acres. It's already been approved by the powers that be, and we're going to space people out, and we're going to have it be very safe. And so you'll be able to come and do a Christmas bazaar. I love it.
I know.
Lindsay's-
Hi, Brooklyn.
So John, you need to apply for one of our event grants that came out today.
What are you talking about? Because you missed it for soiree. So if there's an event grant, lady, hello.
No, event grants, TDA, go to our website, GOTEXAN.org, go to our event grant page. It came out today.
Wait, can we just say we're in and this is our sign up right now?
Yeah, right? You know,
that's
we're
all three of us are in,
always
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
I'm
so sorry about all that.
Tasting on the 30th. Yeah.
For all of our GOTEXAN member, if you have GOTEXAN member opportunities, I'm so sorry.
Why? What?
Would allow them, like GOTEXAN partners, to have like a discount, or you become a GOTEXAN partner and put the GOTEXAN mark on your outreach
and product. Yeah.
Everything will allow up to $5,000 in reimbursement grants.
Where are you?
Please.
And
I'm encouraging for our GOTEXAN event grants. They'll be great. We really want to get our members out back into the public.
Lindsay, introduce her to us.
Oh, this is my daughter, Brooklyn.
Hi, Brooklyn.
I'm Mr. Rivenburgh. I'm in a place called Kerrville, Texas. Kerrville is the new Kerrville. It's really cool.
And I live in Dripping Springs. I'm like right down the road from you. We're neighbors.
Avery's right down the road. Avery had a big
we need to hang out
on Grady.
Oh, he just walked in here.
Oh, Avery, your cousin has a big crush on Grady.
You want to
And
come
I am in the Texas High Plains, and I work with your mama when I come to Austin. And I'm currently tasting in a tractor because I thought it would be safe for my children, but it wasn't.
No, not safe. Dad could only hold him off for so long.
Yeah, totally. It's dinner time, right?
So long.
That's okay. I mean, that being said, again, like, God, this is Texas wine. For those of you out in Facebook world, for those of you out on Instagram, this is what Texas wine's about. We're about family. We're making great wines. We're about showing people what Texas hospitality is. And quite honestly, we do it better than anybody. And so if you're out there outside our state and you want to come and enjoy our great state, please do. And if you're in Texas, buy Texas wine. You can see this on the THCW Facebook page, where you can watch all of the back editions, which are really fun and funny. And we are, if you'd like to sign up, do we still have passports? No.
We do still have passports. So we are, I'm going to do a shout out, y'all. Texas Wine Month. So Texas Hill Country Wineries has hosted Texas Wine Month Passport since 1999. We said that earlier, 1999. They started with the Wine and Wildflower Trail, and it was so successful that they led into Texas Wine Month and a number of other trails. All month long, 31 days. You can get an individual ticket or a couple's ticket. Those are available on the website under passport tickets. We do still have them available. And there's a lot of things happening out here. Wineries are open by reservation. They're doing tastings. They're giving discounts. They've got, all kinds of things to share with you guys. So jump on the website and check that out. And please come out and visit us for Texas Wine Month.
Absolutely. Please do that. January, you know what I do love most about this evening and our talk is you didn't come on and cut us off. Like we're good. Like we're going to town. This is fantastic.
And I knew that. I set the Zoom for like 2 hours instead of 1 hour because I knew this. I knew
it would be. Mm-hmm. I've got this like pretty lady over my shoulder going like, you realize it's 7:20, and I'm like, it's cool. Like I'm not like January said it's okay. We can.
She's giving me the wrap it up notice. My laptop actually just gave me the wrap it up notice. Like your Mac is about to go to sleep unless you plug in. And frankly, there's no plug in the tractor unless it's the old school cigarette lighters. So.
Oh man, I'm sure Katy Jane.
Well,
if anybody could figure out how to stay on live, I would imagine it would be you. I don't think you'll have any troubles whatsoever. Lady, is there anything, do we have any questions or comments or anything that anybody out there in the world that would like to know? Do Lindsay or Katy Jane, do either of y'all have any questions for anybody else for January or for myself? Let's open this up. Like, what do we...
I think we should thank our #1 fan, Bill Perry, the official photographer of Texas Wine. If we're talking about Texas
my wedding photographer, my engagement photographer, my baby photographer.
He's going to get remarried just so he can do my wedding.
I mean, my God.
I mean,
Bill
he's the
Perry,
best.
Yeah, he is the best. And so in honor of him, 31 days of celebrating Texas Wine and Bill Perry, he has tuned in. He has made some comments. Our guy Ron Yates, right? Super big deal. He is tuned in. So fun to watch during the previous lives that we've had. Those are my
Did
only
you
two.
all see this Bobby Champion?
Champion.
Yes.
Oh, the Bobby Champion. Gosh, how we love him.
Bobby Champion, my new neighbor and my coworker and my colleague, one of my best friends. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all.
Yeah, he's my neighbor. We live like
we're doing this at Lindsay's house.
Yes. It's so great.
Yes, I love it.
Thank you, John, for having the Christmas.
Of course, you broke up.
Spectacular canceled in Johnson City.
You broke up.
Sorry.
I
was
couldn't
just
hear
saying
you there.
kudos to you. Uh-oh. Yeah, the Mac, it's dying. I might have to sign off.
Oh.
I know, it's dying.
You could jump on your phone.
I could,
Yeah.
but I mean, people really don't care that much. I was saying, John, kudos to you for the Christmas Bazaar. Light Spectacular in Johnson City has also been modified, and that's the #1 fundraiser for the 4-H Club, the FFA Club, the Lions Club. So we at the marketplace are trying to figure out a way to safely and respectfully still offer them some kind of venue to sell the hamburgers, sell the things that they do 1 weekend a month, just to incorporate, because we're all small town, right? Every single one of us are small town, and we get what it means to be a business owner, to be small town, to sell that product that you grew and that you make yourself alongside things that come out of the Dallas market. And so, not that I begrudge that at all, because we don't, but it's important that we stick together in these times. I just really, my batteries are dying, among other things, probably my popularity as well. I want to thank you all for having me. I have literally had the pleasure of representing Texas Wine since 2005. It is my utmost pleasure in life. Above all, before our family brand, before anything else, it is the hill that I will die on. I believe in this industry as growers, as producers, as makers, marketing sector, you name it. I am a diehard fan, and I hope that y'all are too. So I'm going to say goodnight from my John Deere 8220, even though we spend more money at the Kubota store. It's just the tractor that got moved over. So cheers, y'all, and thank you so much for having me.
Have a good night,
Katy.
Katy.
Bye.
I just want to touch on something that she just said, how everyone is adapting, and Johnson City Light Spectacular is adapting and trying to figure out what they're going to do. And so are our wineries, and so are all of the GOTEXAN makers and producers and growers, and everyone's trying to figure out how we can be open and sell our products and visit with our customers and share all those same experiences. But things are changing for so many of us on the daily. And so just make sure that when you are visiting wineries or looking to visit, even our breweries and distilleries and our friends, at the cheesemaker down the street from us, make sure that you're looking at what they're able to offer you. And when things change in an instant, give a little grace, because it is not on them right now. And they are trying, and so many of these businesses are small, family owned and operated. And whatever you can do, if you can't visit, all you can do is jump online and order something to be delivered to your front door, please do that.
Agreed.
We all need it.
Thanks, January.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. It's been so much fun. This is, I think, so far been my favorite one that I've done. Even being on with some of my cronies. Honestly, you guys were more buddies who I hang out with. I was like, you guys are dead fish. I can't believe it. Like, we get on this thing and we've got this platform to talk about all this fun stuff. Not you guys, some of my guy friends. And it was like pulling teeth to get them to even smile, because sometimes they think they're too cool for the world. But you guys, y'all were all fantastic. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all's friendship and y'all's mentorship and y'all's guidance through the world of Texas wines. And so for the producers out there, for the winemakers, for the grape growers, I'm going to thank the two of you on Facebook, because we couldn't do what we do without the two of you guys. And so I really appreciate it from John Rivenburgh and Kerrville Hills Winery. And I will speak on the behalf of the rest of the Texas wine industry when I say thank you so much for what you guys do for us. And we appreciate it. So with that being said, I've got to take an 8-month pregnant lady to dinner. So I love you guys.
Well, I just want to thank everyone out there on Facebook for joining us tonight. Whether you watch this live or you're going to rewatch this later, thank you so much. And thank you to John and Lindsay and Katy Jane for joining us and celebrating Texas Wine Month, because that's what it's about. So wear the sparkles, wear the sequins, dress up, put on all the makeup, put on the tie, and drink the bubbles all month long. Drink Texas wine, celebrate what these people are putting out and how much hard work is going into this product that you are enjoying in the comfort of your own home. In the meantime, visit Texas Wine Trail website. It is texaswinetrail.com website and our social pages for information on how you can support member wineries and celebrate Texas Wine Month. And we will see you in a couple weeks. October 22nd, we'll be back live to talk about the families of Texas Hill Country Wineries. And we'll see y'all then. Thank you.
Salute, Texas. Have a good night, ladies.
Good night.